Welcome to our presentation on volunteering during the pandemic, a joint venture of Manitoba Association of Senior Centers and Volunteer Manitoba, who, for over 40 years, has promoted, supported, and celebrated volunteerism in Manitoba. Volunteering is the lifeblood of communities. It brings people of different backgrounds, experiences, histories, beliefs like no other activity. It is the glue that holds our towns, cities, and neighborhoods together. The pandemic has made an immense impact on volunteering with a ripple effect that may be felt for years. What happened was that volunteering almost stopped completely when the coronavirus came to Canada in March 2020. According to a national survey of volunteers across Canada, before the pandemic, 74% of Canadians volunteered. When the pandemic started and the government started advising people to stay home, volunteering dropped to only 34%. But it wasn't only that people were staying home. Volunteering came to a standstill, mostly because the nonprofits stopped their programs and services. There wasn't any place for people to volunteer. Over time, smaller nonprofits like community centers really struggled to find ways to adjust their programs to engage their volunteers safely. There is good news though. The good news is that the study shows that people want to return to volunteering. 84% of those who stopped volunteering want to start again. But it's critical to note that they said they would volunteer as long as they were comfortable with the safety practices that were put in place. At Volunteer Manitoba, we wanted to know more about what volunteers meant when they said they would volunteer as long as they were comfortable with the safety practices that were put in place. What safety practices were they expecting? So we did a survey of volunteers from across Manitoba, and here is what they said. 93% expect physical distancing. 92% expect easy access to stations to maintain hand hygiene. 81% expect access to requested or required PPE. And 67% would like screening questions and/or temperature checks at the start of each shift. Does this match what would make you comfortable? From all of this research and from our own interactions with nonprofits and volunteers around the province, the fact is volunteers expect that they will volunteer in a safe environment. They depend on the nonprofit organization to make every effort to anticipate and plan for their safety. As a volunteer, giving your time to help others, you should expect a safe and squeaky clean workplace with PPE, space for physical distancing, hand washing stations, and support through training on new policies and processes to maintain safety. Also, training on how to use technology, flexibility so you can help in different ways, and empathy. An understanding that you are sometimes fearful and have been experiencing stress over a long period of time, that you may need extra help because of this prolonged stress and all of the changes you've been through over the past year. However, don't forget that this is a partnership. In return for being supported, you will be expected to follow safety rules and protocols, and you'll be expected to be committed to trying new ways of doing things, having an open mind, and having a can-do attitude. At this point, you've probably wondered, how can I help? I can't go anywhere. I have to stay home. Well, here are some ideas on how you can continue to be involved. You could assemble food or clothing hampers for people to pick up at the door, or you could volunteer to deliver them to people's houses. There are nonprofits that have figured out how to do this safely and maintain the necessary physical distance. Hampers can be put together in large rooms while everyone wears masks. Hampers can also be dropped off on people's doorsteps rather than bringing them inside. You could also write emails to people every week or even a letter. People still love to get letters in the mail. And people would love to hear about your hobbies and interests. Remember, this was how we all kept in contact before the computer and internet came. Another idea is you could make or write cards to send to people in hospital or in care facilities, or even to your neighbors. These cards could be fun or pretty, but most importantly, they can be a way to say, I'm thinking of you. If you are comfortable with technology, you could help with online group chats with people that share the same hobbies so that they can have show and tell or have a question and answer time. This could be great for gardeners, knitters, quilters, woodworkers, reading, baking, fixing cars, whatever your fancy is. Or do you like to exercise? You could gather people together online to follow an exercise class on FaceTime. Tai Chi or Zumba at home, but still together. Are you more interested in crafts? You could knit, sew, or crochet to make clothes, or do repairs on clothes that have already been donated for your secondhand store or church. For those who are still active, you could have fitness groups who go walking, cross-country skiing, skating, or snowshoeing together. You just need to stay 2 meters apart. If it's too cold or you don't want to get together with others in person, even if you can maintain enough distance, you could organize a virtual fitness group. Everyone exercises on their own, but they report their distance. The group can have a chart tracking each one of your progress to see how far everyone has gotten. This can be fun because you're creating a bit of a competition. More of a writer or an organizer, you could write an article or do some editing for your community newsletter. Maybe there's an organization that has memorabilia or documents that need organizing and archiving. That can be done at your home or in an office by yourself. There's also community cookbooks and scrapbooks that can be assembled and put together. Regardless of how you volunteer, whether it's from your home or in a safe way at your community center, you absolutely should expect these fundamental safety measures to be supported by the nonprofit you are volunteering with. There should be clear guidelines of where and how often you need to wash or sanitize your hands. Plus, when you volunteer at a nonprofit location, they should provide easily accessible hand washing or sanitizing stations with the correct sanitizer. There should be clear guidelines on where and when to maintain physical distance from others. The proper physical distance is 2 meters, just over 6 feet. There should be clear guidelines on where and when to wear a mask. It should be clear if you must provide your own mask or if one will be provided for you. If the organization is providing one for you, they should be easily and openly accessible at the entrance. And there should be clear guidelines on how often to clean and disinfect surfaces. Cleaning and disinfecting should be happening on a regular basis, sometimes after every single use. The person responsible should know that they are responsible, and the cleaner and disinfectant should be easily accessible. A good way to tell if the nonprofit organization is prepared and taking your safety seriously is checking for posters on the wall. Posters should be put up on the walls at key locations to remind everyone that they need to clean, wear a mask, wash their hands, and maintain their distance. Doing these things is not easy to remember. We have decades of habits that are hard to break, and we all need to work together to help each other follow these safety fundamentals. We are all experiencing the stress of uncertainty, but we don't have to be alone. We can get through this together by being careful, being creative, trying new things, learning new skills. We will be stronger together. Our communities will be stronger, and you can help. Thank you for watching.